Okay, so this whole story really hinges on one unanswered phone call. But what it's really about is a secret, a choice, and this just devastating silence that happens when we're too scared to say what's true. Let's dive in.
And it all kicks off with these 5 little words from a young woman named Natasha. For her boyfriend, Scott, this is the exact moment his entire world just shifts. You know? The future he had all mapped out, gone in an instant.
So the news obviously sends them into total shock. But it's more than that. It's like an earthquake. And all these little fault lines that were already there, just under the surface of their relationship, they just start to crack wide open. And there it is, right there, the first major crack. Scott sees it as a team problem. He says we. But Natasha, she hears the panic in his voice, and she immediately feels that entire weight just shift onto her. It becomes about I. In just one sentence, you can see these two are already standing in completely different places.
And this is where you really see how different their worlds are. You've got Scott, who's this old school romantic, kind of thinks love can conquer anything. Then you have Natasha, who's a total realist, shaped by her culture. She even hints at a huge issue, her worry about the baby being of color, which points to some serious problems with Scott's family. And then when she brings up the T word, termination, Scott gets super uncomfortable, but he doesn't say a word. I mean, these aren't just little disagreements, right? These are fundamental cracks in their foundation.
So what starts as this incredibly private crisis for the two of them, well, it doesn't stay private for long. It escalates, and suddenly Scott is trapped. He's caught between the life he wants with Natasha and the legacy his family is demanding he uphold. And the pressure is just immense. A few nights after he finds out, Scott's father confronts him. And somehow, he already knows. The ultimatum is just brutal. You choose this life, you're out, you're disowned. Scott just feels completely sideswiped. I mean, he hasn't even had a chance to figure this out for himself yet. His best friend Tony just boils it all down to one single, kind of brutal question. Is she worth it? Is this relationship, this baby, worth giving up literally everything you've ever known? See, the stakes just got so much higher. This isn't just about a baby anymore. It's about his whole identity. Now, Tony doesn't really give him answers, but he makes Scott face the tough questions, you know? Hey man, think about the legacy you're about to throw away. What's the real cost here? How are you going to do this alone? When it all comes down to it, what's the most important thing to you? He's basically forcing Scott to look past the emotion and see the cold, hard reality of the situation.
And Scott, he makes a choice, a really tough one. He decides he's not going to pick one or the other. He's going to be a good father, he's committed to that. But he's not abandoning his family either. He decides he's just going to stand his ground and face whatever comes his way.
So with that decision made, the whole vibe of the story kind of shifts. The tension lets up, and for a little while, it almost seems like Scott's really fragile plan might actually work. They enter this period of genuine happiness, but it's all built on a whole bunch of stuff that's been left unsaid. And for 5 months, this fragile little piece, it actually holds. It turns into the best time of their lives. He's rubbing her growing belly, they're studying together, they're dreaming. He can really see a future for the three of them. So when she leaves for summer vacation with her parents, he's actually relieved. He's thinking, okay, this is a good sign, they must be on board with this. And this is where the story just takes a sharp, really unsettling turn. That connection they built for 5 months, it just evaporates. It turns into this complete and total silence that stretches on and on, from weeks into months. 0. That's the number. That is how many times Scott hears from Natasha the entire summer. Not a single phone call, no letters, nothing. The woman who is carrying his child, the woman he just committed his entire future to, has just vanished. No trace, no explanation. And his anxiety just skyrockets when summer ends, the new semester starts, and Natasha is not back. The silence goes from being just strange to being deeply, deeply alarming. Scott starts joking with Tony that her parents sent her to a convent, but it's starting to feel like it's not a joke at all. So he's completely desperate. Against his friend's advice, he decides he has to do something. He has to get answers. And this leads him to make one final, fateful phone call that is going to unravel everything. And I mean everything he thought he knew. He dials her family's number. He hangs up once, nervously, but then he immediately calls back.
Someone picks up. It's Natasha's mother, Mrs. Jimenez. Scott is shaking, trying to apologize for not introducing himself sooner, considering the circumstances. And after a little pause on the other end, Natasha's mother just says, with what sounds like genuine confusion, "I'm sorry, what circumstances?" And in that one simple, devastating question, Scott's entire world just shatters into a million pieces. The vacation with her parents, the radio silence, her not coming back, it all just clicks into place with this one horrifying thought. She never told them. She never told her family she was pregnant. The biggest thing in his life was a secret she was keeping from everyone else. And that just leaves us with the huge, unanswered question of the whole story. We know she hid the pregnancy, but was that the only secret she was keeping? Or was the baby itself just a cover for a much deeper, more complicated truth she was hiding from absolutely everyone, including Scott?